What if the way we see ourselves and others shapes every conversation we have? In this journey, we'll unpack how culture, identity, and communication intersect, revealing why difference matters more than ever. After our opening question, let's preview the journey ahead. We'll explore the foundations of culture and identity, examine how cultural identities are constructed, dive into the dialectics of intercultural communication, and finally, discover how to build intercultural communication competence. To understand intercultural communication, we must first grasp what culture is and how it shapes our personal, social, and cultural identities. This topic lays the groundwork for everything that follows. Before we go further, let's define a term that sits at the heart of this journey: culture. Culture is the ongoing negotiation of learned and patterned beliefs, attitudes, values, and behaviors. This definition matters because it shows us that culture is not static. It's always evolving, shaped by our interactions and experiences. Here's how identity works. It can be personal, social, or cultural, each shaped by different forces and contexts. Personal identity refers to the intrapersonal aspects of self, shaped by our unique life experiences, such as being a puzzle lover or a singer. Social identity is derived from our membership in social groups, like being a fraternity member or part of a book club, and is organized externally. Cultural identity is based on socially constructed categories, such as being Irish American or male/female, and tends to be the least changeable of the three. Notice how personal, social, and cultural identities align in surprising ways. Each row shows how a single person might express themselves across these categories. An antique collector may join historical society and identify as Irish American, blending personal, social, and cultural layers. A dog lover might be part of a humane society and identify as male or female, showing how interests and group membership connect to cultural identity. A cyclist who pledges a fraternity or sorority may also identify as Greek American, illustrating the interplay between personal, social, and cultural identities. A singer who teaches music in high school may identify as multiracial, highlighting how professional roles and heritage intersect. Someone who is shy and joins a book club may identify as heterosexual, showing the diversity of identity combinations. An athletic person may identify as gay or lesbian, demonstrating that not all identities require a social group to be meaningful. Identity development follows distinct stages for non-dominant and dominant groups, each reflecting different experiences and challenges. Non-dominant identity development moves from unexamined identity to conformity with dominant norms, to resistance and separation, and finally to integration. Dominant identity development starts with unexamined identity, then acceptance of hierarchy, resistance and guilt, redefinition and integration. Difference matters because it leads to unequal treatment, changing demographics, and obstacles to valuing diversity. Unequal treatment arises from institutionalized privilege and disadvantage, affecting how people are perceived and treated. Changing demographics mean greater diversity in race, gender, ability, and sexuality, reshaping our workplaces, schools, and communities. Obstacles to valuing difference include lack of recognition, political correctness, and communication barriers, making it harder to appreciate diversity. Cultural identities like race, gender, sexuality, and ability are not fixed. They are shaped by historical, social, and political forces. This topic reveals how these identities are constructed and how they impact communication. The story of race as a cultural identity unfolds over centuries, shaped by social and political events. In the 1500s, European colonial expansion led to the creation of racial hierarchies, placing lighter-skinned Europeans above others. During the 1800s, flawed scientific theories were used to legitimize racial distinctions and justify exploitation. In 1900, the U.S. Census introduced racial categories, reflecting changing views on race and identity. By 2000, people could select more than one racial category, acknowledging the complexity of identity. In 2010, the census expanded to 15 racial categories and allowed write-in options, further reflecting diversity. In 2020, the census asked individuals to specify their racial origins, showing ongoing evolution in how race is understood. Race is a social construct shaped by history and context rather than biology. The Human Genome Project found that humans share 99.9% of their DNA, demonstrating that race is not a biological reality. Race is shaped by historical and contemporary social, economic, educational, and political circumstances, not by biology. Gender is constructed through cultural and social forces distinct from biological sex. Gender is an identity based on internalized cultural notions of masculinity and femininity, while sex refers to biological characteristics. Patriarchy is a system of social structures and practices that maintains the values and interests of men as a group. Transgender identity refers to people whose gender identity or expression does not match the gender assigned at birth. Sexuality as a cultural identity has evolved over thousands of years, shaped by laws, social movements, and medical practices. In the Greek and Roman era, there was no concept of sexual orientation as identity, but same-sex relationships were accepted for some. In 1892, the term heterosexuality was coined, initially defined as a form of sexual perversion. Between 1900 and 1930, homosexuality was treated medically with methods now considered inhumane. In 1969, the Stonewall Riot marked a turning point for the gay rights movement. In 1974, homosexuality was removed from the list of mental illnesses, reflecting changing attitudes. In 2011, the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell allowed gays and lesbians to serve openly in the military. The concept of ability as a cultural identity has shifted dramatically over time, influenced by medical, social, and political developments. In 400 BCE, Greeks connected epilepsy to mind disorders, but still saw its source as supernatural. In the early 1900s, the eugenics movement led to laws sterilizing those deemed socially inadequate. During the 1930s, Nazis targeted people with disabilities for experimentation and execution. In the 1970s, the independent living movement became a prominent part of the disability rights movement. In 1990, the Americans with Disabilities Act was passed, offering legal protections and accommodations. Communication both reflects and shapes cultural identities, with language and labels playing a central role. Dominant groups often define what is considered standard language, leading to code switching by non-dominant groups to avoid negative judgment. Identity labels, such as those for race or sexuality, change over time, and respecting personal preference is key to competent communication. Intercultural communication is full of contradictions and tensions. This topic explores the dialectical approach, helping us see beyond simple opposites and understand the dynamic nature of cultural interactions. Here's how dialectics work. They reveal the tensions and complexities that shape intercultural communication. The cultural individual dialectic highlights the interplay between behaviors learned from a cultural group and individual variations. The personal contextual dialectic shows how our communication patterns interact with the influence of different contexts. The differences-similarities dialectic reminds us that we are both similar to and different from others at the same time. The static dynamic dialectic suggests that culture and communication often seem stable but are constantly changing. The history/past-present/future dialectic emphasizes that current cultural conditions are shaped by history and will impact the future. The privilege-disadvantage dialectic captures the complex interplay of unearned advantages and disadvantages among our identities. Let's pause and consider a challenging question. Can we truly understand another culture without confronting our own biases? This question forces us to reflect on the limits of our perspective and the importance of self-awareness. It sets up the tension that runs through all intercultural communication, reminding us that understanding others often begins with understanding ourselves. Dialectics play out in relationships, offering both rewards and challenges as we navigate similarities and differences. Intercultural friendships offer benefits like increased cultural knowledge, challenging stereotypes, and learning new skills. Challenges include anxiety, uncertainty, extra effort to maintain the relationship, and potential backlash from one's own group. Let's weigh both sides of intercultural relationships. They bring unique benefits, but also present distinct challenges. The benefits of intercultural relationships include increased cultural awareness, personal growth, empathy for others, and the opportunity to learn new skills. The drawbacks include anxiety and uncertainty, extra effort to nurture the relationship, potential backlash from one's own group, and difficulty finding acceptance. To thrive in a diverse world, we need intercultural communication competence. This topic explores the attitudes, knowledge, and skills required to communicate effectively across cultures. Intercultural communication competence is built on motivation, knowledge, and tolerance for uncertainty. Motivation can be intrinsic, driven by curiosity and learning, or extrinsic, driven by rewards like money or recognition. Knowledge includes self and other awareness, mindfulness, and cognitive flexibility, all essential for adapting to new situations. Tolerance for uncertainty means being comfortable in uncertain situations, showing patience and adaptability. Cultivating competence requires fostering attitudes, discovering knowledge, and developing skills. Fostering attitudes involves developing a sense of wonder about culture and maintaining a high tolerance for uncertainty. Discovering knowledge means learning about cognitive styles and seeking direct, thoughtful encounters with other cultures. Developing skills includes empathy, accumulating cultural information, listening, and resolving conflict. Reflective practices help us process challenges and rewards, making competence an ongoing journey. Intersectional reflexivity means acknowledging our intersecting identities and implicating ourselves in social hierarchies. Thinking under the influence involves monitoring our thoughts to identify stereotypes and biases, then reflecting and adjusting our thinking. Practical tips, like direct communication, respect, patience, and adaptation, make intercultural interactions more effective. Direct communication means speaking directly to a person with a disability, not through a companion or interpreter. Respect and patience involve treating adults as adults and listening attentively, especially when communication is difficult. Adaptation includes placing yourself at eye level and using appropriate gestures to facilitate conversation. The journey through intercultural communication reveals that difference is not a barrier, but a bridge. By building intercultural communication competence, fostering understanding, and valuing diversity, we can transform our interactions and create a more inclusive world.